Welcome to a very special edition of One Man Show here tonight. I'm your host, Zoltai, and I'm at the Akron Air Show at Fulton Airport, just on the southern outskirts of the city of Akron in Summit County. A lot of vintage World War II airplanes coming up, interviews with some of the veterans of WW2, and a whole lot more. One Man Show is cranked up and ready to go. This is very, very exciting for me, and I think for any of you that are buffs of old World War II vintage aircraft. Behind me here, a B24 Liberator, the Diamond Lil. Come on inside with me as we'll take a look at the controls and where the crew would have been stationed, and a whole lot more as to what really makes this airplane tick. Except turn on the light. Yeah. Well, with me now is Jack Chummy. Jack is, I guess you could say, the curator or the boss of this plane, and he's going to tell a little bit about the plane, its origins, and its background to you at home.
Originally, it was included in an order to the French government, from the French government. They wanted about 175 of them, 1941 delivery date.
Wow.
And France fell to Germany in about 1940 of May. So it was built in San Diego by Consolidated Aircraft for about $240,000. As a B-24A bomber.
Some of our viewers at home paid more than that for their houses.
The engines are worth more than that now. Army Aircraft serial number was 402366, and it was diverted to the British in 41, and redesignated an LB Liberator 1 with the RAF serial number AM 927. Now we call it old 927, old 927. So it got that name now. Landing accident in Canada prevented it from going to England. Fortunately for us, because if it hadn't had that landing accident and it had went on to England, you can guess what probably would have happened. Either pots and pans and cans, or it would be under an ocean in pieces, who knows what. So this way, we got the airplane eventually. In 1941, it went back to San Diego. They removed the bomb bay, and the operation throughout World War II by Consolidated as a passenger cargo transport. So time's moving on now. 1946, Continental Can owned it. Now they kept it all silver and pretty, and they put galleys in it, tables, and all kinds of stuff. It was a beaut.
Hey, and Jack, the good thing about that, they didn't turn it into an aluminum beer can, did they?
No. Continental Can did not go what their name said. So, and in about 59, it was sold to Pemex Oil Company. It was in Mexico. And it was converted back to a cargo transport, and Mexican registration number was in their files. So in 68, it was sold to the Confederate Air Force. And for guess how much? $60,000. New registration was N192095.
And that's a bargain, because that's about what a Cadillac Escalade costs nowadays. But you're not going to go out and find many of these on a used airplane lot, are you?
It's refitted. When we got it in 71, we got it in 68, but in 71 we refitted it with a B-24A nose style. The old with the gun in the nose and everything.
Nice.
We call it a greenhouse. And it's painted African desert camouflage and renamed Diamond Lil. We thought that was a kind of a decent name for it.
What was the origin of the name Diamond Lil? Who thought that up? Where did that come from?
Diamond Lil came from one of the old World War II aircraft that they had at that time, and we kind of stole it from them.
Now it's summertime outside, and it's a little warm in here, and we can see some sort of quilted insulation, but when this plane gets up to altitude, it's not that hot inside, is it?
Yeah, however, we don't hardly ever go with say 7,000 feet or so anyway, so it's still pretty comfortable up here.
Now the padding we see on the walls around us here, Jack?
We put that in here because we carry passengers. We pick up at least we have a total of 6 passengers that we can take, not over FAA regulations. So we give rides for 6 passengers at a time. And if we get 6 more passengers, we give her another ride. So it's a 6-passenger deal.
Is this the first time this B-24's been at the Akron Air Show?
It's the first time as far as I know. I might be wrong there. Now, I'm not certain.
I don't recall one previously, so I'm thinking maybe this was.
Yeah, it may have been. But I think this is one of 2 B-24s still living. I say living, I mean by flying. And this is only one of 2. And the other one is owned by another foundation. It's called the Collins Foundation. And theirs is not as old as ours is. Ours is the oldest. Although not the prettiest or with the gun turrets, but it is the oldest and the only one that old that's left.
And it's right here in Ohio, and maybe we'll be blessed enough to have it come back again to next year's show. Hey, Jack, why don't you take me on a quick tour of the cockpit here next?
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to walk on up here into the front here. He'll get us going up outside.
A good bomber. She did her job, but if she got hit, she wasn't too well off because she couldn't hold up too well getting hit in the wings. Although our wings were high speed compared to the B-17, they didn't hold up as good as the B-17 wings.
Well, we're going to finish our trek up to the cockpit here. Follow us up inside.
I take that lock off of there when we're flying because I might have to lift that up and kick that nose gear down in flight. You never know when you're going to have to do it.
Actually reach down inside with your foot and kick it down, huh?
More or less, you kind of lift it over. You pull certain levers and you lift it over.
Okay, we're going to squeeze our way up inside. Keep that rolling there. Come on inside with me. Oh, yeah.
And this is where we keep our hydraulic fluid for our hydraulics in here. And you have fluid level instructions and flight engineer's manual and all of our manuals and paperwork that we need for taking people from passenger rides. They have to sign a form, a special form.
Hey, Bill, try to get a shot of that here. I know it's kind of tight up in here. It's like the old days. Step on up around here, get a shot of that there where the manifest would have been.
Books and information on the aircraft all down here in this cute little cabinet. I think during World War II, the radio operator had his position here. Later models. And there's the throttle levers and there's the mixture levers. Leather buttons and switches all in here. Carburetor heat and everything's up here where we need it. Just like it should be. It was like in the good old days, you know.
Yeah.
Everything's squeezed together. Because back then, I think people were smaller than they are nowadays.
What I'm going to do for space here, Jack, is I'm going to hand you the mic and you can talk to me. And then I'll swing the camera around because it's kind of tough for all of us to get up in here. You can kind of explain a few of the controls here.
Okay. Over here is your flap emergency handle. In case you have emergency, you have to turn certain valves and things to put your flaps down in emergency in case you have a problem. This is the landing gear handle. We always tell pilots to be sure and push that selector in before you push the gear up so you can successfully do it.
There you go.
And this is a control lock. We lock these controls while it's on the ground, and just before we take off, we release it. The flight engineer will reach down there and take that loose there and push this up on a roll up inside here, and he'll release the controls ready for flight. The control wheels are here. As the flight instruments are here and on the right for the pilot and co-pilot, as well as the engine instruments are all right here, and they go down to there. You got your RPM, your manifold pressures, cylinder head temperatures, fuel pressures and fuel temperatures, and all in fuel temperatures. And rudder pedals and brakes are right there on top of the rudder pedals. Everything's fairly basic.
I see chains up there too, and a lot of people might think that it's all hydraulic or electronic, but there's a control chain up there too.
A lot of mechanics there. There's a lot of mechanics there for the rudders. Everything, all those cables go manually all the way back to the rudders and elevators.
Wow.
And there's your flap handle, and where I told you that. And parking brake's right there. Right now it's off. We have the parking brake off because we don't need it. We have chocks on the aircraft. They're chocks
Kind of like a car in the driveway, a parking
Yeah, it'll
brake.
roll. It will roll. So you don't want that to happen.
Now, where was this particular plane built again for our viewers at home?
It was built in San Diego by Consolidated Vultee aircraft.
Do you remember?
Consolidated Vultee. They were it was built in 1940, and the Air Force accepted it in 1941. And if you look out here, you ought to get a view of these propellers and engines sticking out here.
Okay.
I'll get out of your way.
All right, it's okay to stand here up
Yeah.
on the seat?
Yeah, you can stand
All right.
out and look out there.
There we
I
go.
do it every day. And when we're taxiing out, usually the flight engineer will have his head out there looking at the wingtips and giving clearance to the pilot.
Wow. It's a nice long wing.
Yeah, it's 110 feet long. And the engine's the 1830s. 1,200 horsepower each engine. There's a flight engineer's panel back here. He's got the engine interrupter switches. You got your battery switches, cabin light switches. Got his generator field switches. Everything's off right now. And then fuel gauges. And down here you have your tanked engine valves. Your fuel valves to the engine, which has to be cut on to crank the engines. Somebody cut that one on. It should be off.
Uh-oh.
Somebody messes with it once in a while. There's your vacuum gauge for your instruments. And this is your engine fire bottle. We have 2 fire bottles. And if one doesn't work for about 30 seconds, wait till about 30 seconds. You have to, with the cowl flaps closed, of course. Wait about 30 seconds, and you try the other one. Be sure the other one is off. You don't want to go to the wrong engine. Be sure you go to the right engine, because we have a checklist we go by for emergencies.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a handle. Somebody's pulled on my wire already, I see. I had this safety. Kids come in here and they pull on these breakaway wires. That's a landing gear handle.
Shame on them.
That's a landing gear emergency lowering instructions there, and that's the handle you do it with. About 30 turns.
You know what I'm impressed with the most is this kind of like your baby here, isn't it?
Yeah, I think a lot of her. Although I stay with it about a month every year if I can. And I also help on the B-29 if they need me. And I'm going to put this back. Maybe they can take the hint.
Well, we've seen the inside of the Diamond Lil, the B24 that's here at the Akron Air Show. Now, we're next to Fifi, the B29, and I tell you, this is a special treat for me. A year ago, and you'll see some footage also of a B17 that's at the show, but to have a B29 here, this is a special treat. And right now, a day before the show actually starts, these gentlemen are repairing the engine. We'll get a quick shot of them in a moment, but you can see one of the cylinder heads here, Bill, if you'll come over here. One looks like a brand new cylinder head, and the other one looks like the old cylinder head that they've changed out.
Some audio. Is that all right? Yeah. All right. I'm just telling you, so watch what you say. Okay.
Oh, I would edit it out anyway.
You want to come over here?
You know, much like we work on our cars at home, too, this airplane has a hood, so to speak. Now, you can see here the cowl that came off the engine that the gentlemen are working on right now, and it's reinforced with the aluminum ribs, and behind me you can see some of the panels that come off of the cowl. Each one has the special locking screw, and Bill, come on over here. Let's get a tight shot here. Zoom in, you can see where the screws go in. It's a slotted hole, almost like putting together wafer board furniture. I think we've all owned, something made out of recycled wood where you have to turn the screws a quarter turn. It's like a cam locking screw, and each screw locks into place, putting the cowl back on, covering the cylinder heads we saw a moment ago. And the whole piece is machined aluminum, riveted, reinforced everywhere. So you can see how much work really went into these airplanes. It took hours and hours of men and women building these planes during the greatest war ever. A lot more coming up with the Akron Air Show. You're watching One Man Show. Fifi, the B-29.
Here's a handle for you.
All right.
Welcome aboard. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm up inside Fifi now, and it's a sheer delight to be able to bring shots of these vintage aircrafts to all of you at home here this evening on One Man Show. I'm standing right now probably where I guess it looks like there might have been a turret at one time as well.
Yep. That's correct.
So we'll get Bill to step on up in here with the camera, get a shot of some of the equipment and the padding, and oh, there's the infamous tube.
I'm not going to send anybody else out.
Okay.
I remember in the movie Strategic Air Command where Jimmy Stewart, he goes back for, actually he goes up or back, I forget which one, but for coffee. And he goes through the manway that goes through the wings. And you can see if you get a shot of that, Bill, it's a tube that goes all the way to the rear section of the plane. I'm in the cockpit of Fifi the B-29 with David Miller. David, tell our viewers at home a little bit about this specific airplane.
Well, this is Fifi, and Fifi is the only flying B-29 in the world. Wow. We recovered her from China Lake, California, where the Navy was using her as a target. The CAF recovered her, put her in flying condition, and here she is.
I remember a couple of years ago, I think there was a picture of it over Cleveland. The plane dealer snapped a shot of it flying for one of the air shows there. Will it come back to Akron in the future?
We hope so. We really like coming here. It's with the blimp hangar and the history here with the CORSAIRs. Yeah, we'd like to come back.
Watching One Man Show.
He's upside down. Look at that.
These aircraft aren't just the same as the Cessnas and the Beechcraft that you see here on the airfield over at the FBO the other day. Today, these are classified as experimental. It's the only one. People might find a knack in aircraft restoration. I love this. We're coming down to the visit. Look at the work. Every time I go down here, I get one of those join up for a bill of $35 a year, get the newsletter, membership badge, and all the work you can handle in that same time. The B24 we're rolling past this right now. You're getting a once-in-a-lifetime experience and helping to keep these up.
That's how they have
Those guys got some credit for it. You folks sound good. Yeah, that goes with people. They want to make a real big fortune, and a really fortune in the nation, start with a big one.
Whoa, nice! You can see how big the tires and the landing gear are here on this B-17. Nice job out of Brooke there showing us the size comparison. She's about 47 inches tall, so you can see the tires a little over 4 feet high. You know, at one time, Cleveland Pneumatic, which is now Goodrich Landing Gear Systems in Cleveland, which is still located in Cleveland, made the landing gear for these B-17s, produced right here in Northeast Ohio during the war. Little Brooke measuring her size against the large tire here at the Akron Air Show. Oh, I'm not even going to get through here. Are you kidding me? Oh, this is cool. Whoa. You're watching One Man Show on Cox Communications. I'm inside the B-17 and now I'm with the 50 caliber machine gun. A perfect tool to take care of my critics with Cleveland TV as well as broadcast sports in Northeast Ohio. Watch out, folks, I've got you in my sights.
Private TNG, we're seeing the B24 Liberator, Diamond Lil. The classic steering biplane, B6 cockpit.
Well, that concludes part one of our two-part series here tonight, Aero Expo 2004. A brief glimpse at the Akron Air Show held at Fulton Municipal Airport. Part two will be up next week. I'd like to thank Joe Chevereau, though, who's the curator of the Mass Museum in North Canton, for helping bring everything together. He's the coordinator of Aero Expo each and every year. And I invite you, the viewers, to go down to North Canton and tour MAPS Air Museum. You can find them on the internet, and you can see their telephone at the end of tonight's show. Again, that concludes part one of Aero Expo. Part two is next week, and I invite you to watch. Until next week, this is your Z-Man saying, be good, everybody. Guests and organizations that appear on One Man Show receive a dozen glazed donuts from Krispy Kreme Donuts in Middleburg Heights. For your organization's next fundraiser, Krispy Kreme Donuts. Don't pay attention to those boys. Hey guys, step back just a second here. Let her get the shot. Here you go. Do you have it all?
Yep.
Okay.